I'm Andrew Dixon, and I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and we've got Sasha, who's one of our editors, who's also in Melbourne, Frank, who's an editor, he's the founder, he's in Melbourne,
That's right.
Andrew Ryan, who's a pathologist, and Matt from the US, he's our medical illustration editor, and it's just fresh from putting up an awesome illustration of the Bosniak renal cyst criteria today. So this is our first attempt at doing a Google Hangout. We're going to try and do these throughout the year to keep people up to date with what's happening on the site. We have a lot of new features that we've released in 2012 and more to come in 2013. So I'll hand over to Frank and let him talk about some of the 2012 features.
Yeah, hi guys. So it's great to have this first Google Hangout. It's been a tough and good year, 2012. For those of you who have been with us for the whole year, you would have noticed that there hasn't been a lot of new features up until the last few months. A lot of work's been going on in the background though, and the biggest component of it was to try and team up with UBM, which is a big multinational, I guess. They're based in the US, and they've been responsible for really helping us attract more sponsors internationally. And it's been a slow and very painful process, but it looks like it's coming good. So we're hoping that for the rest of, for next year, for 2013, we should be able to be releasing features that we've been meaning to release for 12 to 18 months. And the first one that we got through was the new quiz mode, which was way behind schedule, and is really the first linchpin of the direction that we want to move the site in. And that's focusing on attracting really the core group of our users in that community, which is radiologists, especially young radiologists, especially those that are studying. And for that, you need the ability to view cases in a way that's familiar to us, tutorial sort of style. So have you guys played with the new quiz mode?
Yeah, it's awesome. Do you want me to get a case up or something?
Yeah, why not?
I've enjoyed the quiz mode. I haven't done a lot of the quizzes, but I've done a few, and they were really helpful.
It's working out well. The way that the way that the question set is playing out on the new quiz mode is quite different to the old one. So it's actually much easier to go through in a structured order, one question at a time, which is...
I'm just going to get one up for you now.
Yeah, so it was really necessary for us to do that, and it echoes the structure of our iOS apps as well, so that the structure of the cases on the site when they're viewed in quiz mode or on the app are the same, and it takes you through as you would during an oral case or an exam setting where you're shown, say, a chest x-ray first, then a set of questions pertaining to that, and then the CT after that. The next obvious sort of extensions are allowing users to keep track of which cases they've seen, making some cases favorites or adding them to a playlist so that you can share a list of related cases, either to remind yourself in the future before studying for exams, or to share it amongst a study group or with anyone. So that's really the first main focus of what we'll be doing in the first half of the year. There's a lot that goes into the background of that, in that we have to try and identify which cases are good to be shown on quiz mode, and we do that mechanically as well as by getting people to vote up or vote down cases. But behind the scene, we're looking at whether there are questions, whether there's a case discussion, how many images there are, what sort of contributions the user has made in the past, and putting all of those things together to try and guess which cases are going to be most useful. It's not perfect yet by a long shot. We'll be looking forward to making that a lot better.
So have you been able to see what I've been showing?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I guess the natural extension of that, Frank, is the feature that's coming soon, like the tutorial mode. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we're still not sure about what to call it. It really is playlists, I guess, and maybe it's easier to call them that so that people know exactly what they do. But basically it'll allow any user to create a playlist of cases from either their own library or from that of other users in a particular order, and call it, for example, chest x-rays for medical students, and it might be a series of 20 chest x-rays that when viewed in quiz mode you go sequentially through them, and it might be random cases or it might cover a specific area of topic. For example, you might have each lobar collapse as a tutorial. Initially the tutorials will be available publicly but only listed on your own page so that as a user you can share them, but not necessarily have a central repository for all the tutorials. We really need to see what sort of tutorials people create to see whether it's worth having a general list or whether we need to be looking at promoting specific tutorials that are good. It's conceivable that people will create tutorials for very bespoke sort of uses that aren't particularly relevant to other users.
Yeah, but if you have a way of rating it and judging whether the playlist is any good, then it'll sort itself out.
It will. It will.
Yeah. I'm excited. I reckon it's going to be really, really good, because I think at the moment you've got quiz mode. You see one case, and then you might go a few cases where it's not relevant to you. So it's just it's going to be good to have something that's filtered by another brain that's presented to you for your own learning.
It's going to probably change the direction of the audience, don't you think, Frank? Because at the moment the main people that are using are the ones that are testing themselves and the students, whereas having the ability to make quizzes will bring the teachers on board.
Yeah, very much. And the other thing is we've been around now for 5-6 years, and as most of us here, we're growing up as well. When I started it, I was a radiology registrar or resident, for those of you in the States. And now I'm a neuroradiologist. I still kind of giggle when I call myself that, but it's true, I suppose. And as we grow up using the site, what we want to do with the site changes and grows up with us. So we used to do it to study, and now we do it to teach. It's a selfish way of looking at it as well, but I want the site to do the things that I need it to do. And I'm fortunate to be in a position where I can build these tools to achieve what I want to achieve, and hopefully that's the same thing that lots of us want to. But it also really focuses our attention on the people that we're most interested in as part of our community. It's great that people who have pineal cyst reported on their MRI brain come to Radiopaedia to find out what it is. But really what we're aiming for, and our core audience, is radiologists and trainee radiologists. And I think this aspect, the teaching and the sharing of teaching and the curating of cases, is really crucial in bringing more of those people to Radiopaedia.
As a non-radiologist, what you just described with the tutorials, I look at a lot of I stream a lot of music online, and one of the best features of some of the websites that stream music, just to use an analogy of music in these cases, is those other websites that will allow you to put together what you feel like, as you've just described. And some of the best ones will have the likes or the number of plays or of a particular playlist, to use a better word. So to have those online and be able to rate them, that's gold, because, again, using the music analogy, you sometimes don't know. You've got so many cases on there, you don't actually know what you want to look at. You want someone else's thoughts to kind of direct you along. As I say, this is not as a radiologist, but this is as an observer, as
a human being. I think it's the same. It's the same with social media stuff. I mean, people want something that's served on a platter to them that they can engage with, and if you give them one case and then the next case is not relevant, then they're going to fade away. But I reckon if we get those playlists that are that people have said this is a really good playlist and they've liked it, or it's had lots of views, or we've featured it on our social media, then it's going to I think it's going to be a fantastic feature.
It also creates a new way for people to contribute to the site. And we find that there's no such thing as an all-rounder when it comes to a contributor. There's some people that really like contributing cases, others like to edit articles, others like to write articles. And what this will create is, curators, if you want, people who really like to create awesome playlists from existing content. And that can be a new group of people and a new way of interacting with this community without having to do any of the other things.
And talking to a few people on Twitter, a few big educators, bloggers, they're interested in whether they would be able to take other people's cases, string them together into a tutorial, and add their own little questions in between, and select which images they want and those kind of things. Is that going to be something we work towards, Frank?
It won't be in version 1. I think what we go live with, and this is sort of the philosophy behind our design of the site, has always been to do the simplest and easiest thing that's useful, or more useful than what we have, and then see how people use it and build on that. So the first version will probably be just a description field or a title and a description field for the tutorial, and then an ordered group of cases that are then viewed in quiz mode sequentially. The idea of dropping additional questions or content between cases is clearly an extension of that sort of building block. When you start to say, I want to show this image but not this one, and I want to show these questions and not these ones, it's all doable, but it does add levels of complexity, which can be challenging from a technical point of view, and also challenging from getting a user interface that's easy for people who want to do the simple thing, but also powerful for more advanced users. And that's always a balance. And for those of you who have been on the site for a few years, you will see the number of iterations the site goes through, and we're constantly tweaking features when we get feedback and when we use it ourselves. But yeah, the real focus will be on how do we take these 10,000 cases and these 5,000 articles and do more with them than just have them there for people to look at. And so playlist is one, improving how we filter and rate cases and articles, and make sure we build upon the areas that we are missing still. It's some big topics that we still don't have, although we have lots of minutiae covered. And I think this coming year is going to be really important for us to make sure that we have content across the whole basis of our curriculum.
I think one slightly related thing was the idea of being able to embed quiz mode cases into, or just Radiopaedia cases into other sites, like a YouTube player. Instead of having a YouTube player, you could have a Radiopaedia player, and display cases on other blogs and websites. Is that something we're going towards?
Yep, that's part of the brief for this year as well. And that should be relatively easy now that we've standardized the structure of quiz mode. It's just finding an embedded style and format to sync that out, and that should be pretty simple.
Because I imagine you could have, a medical student who has 3 followers on Twitter or something, who has their own little blog that could embed it in, and then you could also have a massive website that does the same kind of thing. And I think it would just add to the whole driving people towards Radiopaedia and engaging people.
Well, and it's aligned with what we're about, which is sharing content and cases and making it available. One of the founding principles behind this site was my dissatisfaction with journals and other websites that they monetize radiology by controlling access to it, rather than by focusing on some other ways. In our case, we try to make ends meet with advertising, and we try and do that in a way that doesn't distract from the content, because at the end of the day, the content's the really important part of what we do. But fundamentally, I disagree with the idea that the better off you are, the better access you have to information that lets you treat patients better. It sounds kind of utopian, but I think it's really creepy that companies are making money by withholding information that allows doctors to do their job well. And that's one of all the other things aside, that's, I think, the most important thing that we can achieve as an organisation is just really democratisation of information. And it doesn't matter whether you're a radiologist in Bangladesh who only has a plain film machine. You shouldn't have to be paying $2,000 a year to license access to some information that helps you identify cancer or pneumonia or something. And so definitely sharing of our cases is a crucial part of doing that. And I don't think by sharing you ever put yourself out of business. You do the exact opposite.
Well said, Frankie.
Yeah, I think that's something. I think that's something everyone can identify with. Is sometimes the difficulty in finding good information, and I think that Radiopaedia has been such a good resource to me, and that's why it drove me to interact with you guys and contribute to the site. And I think that it'll just keep growing because there is such extreme value in it.
That's great, and it's really important that we don't lose track of that fundamental reason that we're all here. And as long as we keep focused on that, I think the new features and the way we move forward is kind of self-evident.
Awesome. What else do you want to talk about, Frank?
In terms of
what about the iOS app?
Yes, the app. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah. The app, the first versions of the app that are still around, the ones that are system specific, were something I wrote myself on a year off that I took while my wife was doing another fellowship in Toronto. I spent most of that year hanging around playing PlayStation and coding the apps, and it was kind of fun, and it was unexpectedly successful in terms of the free versions of it. I think there's probably 200,000 of them around, which for someone who's not a programmer to have that sort of distribution is kind of cool. But it was, as expected, really glitchy and difficult to put together. So we spent the majority of 2012 and the majority of our funds putting together the new iOS app, which is on a universal app for both iPhone and iPad. And it's been really important for us to focus on the design of how we run our cases, and the way quiz mode is now is as a direct result of the thought that went into that design process. And it's been quite tough going, and although it's been downloaded a lot, it's been less than we would have hoped for and added to the difficulties of this year. We keep getting requests to move it to Android as well, and as much as personally I would love to, because I'm an Android user as well, I don't think that's in our short-term future. We'll be focusing more on making the website in general more mobile-friendly, because I think that's a real deficiency currently. But as far as a dedicated Android app, at the moment we have other things to focus on. So I know I've been promising it for the best part of 18 months, and until recently had thought that we were actually going to be embarking upon it. But I think for the foreseeable future we'll be steering clear of it. Having said that, we will still be developing new case packs for the iOS app. And the thing to remember if you're an Android user is all the cases that are available on the app are also on the website. So they're curated, packaged together case packs, and it doesn't stop you accessing the content. So again, as sort of a founding philosophy, we're not restricting or keeping any of the content private to monetize it. It's all there. We just try and get some funds to keep the site going by getting you to contribute a few bucks towards a collection of cases that we've spent some time polishing up.
That might be hard to monetize once you get playlists, though. If you set up playlists on the main site and then can replicate those very easily through the website, then I guess the market may go.
Yeah, so the thing, and we're not doing anything to make this happen, but it's intrinsic to the sort of cases that we have. A case that has, say, 100 images, a couple of CT stacks each with 50 images, to download that via cellular network, even 4G, and even if you have a big plan, is still sort of time consuming. So although the playlists will pretty much exactly replicate a case pack currently on the iPhone app, the ability to use it offline and to have the responsiveness of having cached contents will be something that hopefully people find, you know, worth a couple of bucks for 30 cases. I think that'll be the main driving force for continued use of the app, and probably will be justification for eventually building a similar app for Android, is to allow that offline experience, which is definitely slicker and faster than anything you can hope to do while streaming data, especially in the browser. And hopefully the flip side of that will be that with more people contributing tutorials or playlists, that we'll be able to offer more case packs for the app. And,
yeah, if someone makes a really good tutorial, then you can very easily turn it into a case pack and release it.
Right, and it's something they should get on their CV as well.
For 99 cents.
Exactly. So at the moment, there's only a few of us working on the case packs, and the more we have, the better the app will be, and the bigger the audience will be.
Well, what else are we going to talk about, Frank? Or are we going to wrap it up?
I think that's probably
enough for today.
One thing.
I'd be really interested in hearing from... Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I'd really be interested to hear about the radiology signs. Again, as a non-radiologist, Andrew's radiology stuff on Tumblr is really interesting to me. I reckon that's great.
Yeah, I'll just I'll get it up for you. Let me go.
I just remembered that pig sign. I never responded to you. I did make.
Oh yeah, the pig sign's awesome. But you made that up. I'm sure you made it up.
Yeah. That was. I call it the pig sign of Skalski in my presentation. Some people catch on. Some people don't.
So here we go.
Sorry.
Let me see.
Right, Frank, I cut off as well. Maybe did you have something else to? Oh, you got it here.
No, it's all good. I was going to talk actually about Radiology channel, so that'll be a good segue from this.
Let me just stretch up this and then zoom in maybe. How's that? Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
Metastasis.
Yeah. So this so radiology science I started I don't know, probably early in the year, probably March, somewhere around there. And I think Frank created his own little Tumblr page called Frank Gaillard, and at the same time I thought I'd try it out as well. So I made Radiology Science, and since then I thought basically we've got lots of signs on Radiopaedia, but often the way in which we've got very detailed articles on our site and multiple images. And sometimes if you can, summarize it more quickly and pick out a couple of great key images, you can engage a wider audience. And Tumblr just seems to. I mean, we tested it out initially and thought, it won't do much. But you put one post up and people seem to find it. You didn't have to do much to start getting people to reblog. So you can see today. And the other thing about Tumblr is great is that it can schedule posts to be done. So I can get on and do a whole month's worth of posts and then forget about it really. So we've been putting one up 3 times a week, and that's today's one. And you can see that it's been up for about 5 hours. We've got 49 different people who've interacted and either shared it. So this is a reblog. So if you click
well-named reblog by the looks of
it. Yeah. Fuck yeah, forensic. So there's lots and lots of people who've shared it already, and if you click on their link to their site where they've reblogged it, hopefully this doesn't turn out to be porn. You can see that the post is reproduced on their site, including links back to all the articles in Radiopaedia. So it's it's done really well, and probably a thing that's done even better than the blog itself is the related Facebook page. And are you seeing that now as well?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Facebook page, which we started at the same time, has now, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, has overtaken Radiopaedia in the number of likes.
A couple of months, or at least a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And again, it's just because it's packaged up in a way that that people can interact with, and a little question, and then a link to an answer. We've started to reproduce the same thing across on the Radiopaedia Facebook page. So you can see here today we posted a nice the case of the day today was a nice left atrial myxoma. So we've convert that into a question and present it for people to engage with, and I think it's from where we were a year ago with our social media, we've come a long way just by adding Tumblr and Twitter and Facebook, and just really trying to engage with people a lot more.
I mean,
so that's what I've been doing.
What you've done in the past year has been fantastic, Andrew, and you've now started Radiology channel as well, which this is being streamed on at the moment, but it's a YouTube channel, and we've only just started scratching the surface of this by, and again, I think this is the same idea that we've been talking about today, and that's taking what's the foundation of content on the site and polishing it up and using it in different ways. And in Radiology channel, they're short, between 1 and 6 minutes long, tutorials or little video clips going through a case or going through a condition. And what my aim is towards the end of the year is we're planning a redesign of the layout of the site in general. And I think you've convinced me of the utility of these videos. And I think what we should be aiming for is for each page on Radiopaedia to have a short video like this embedded in the website, such that instead of reading the introductory paragraph of the site, someone can watch a 2-minute video which sort of really hits all the important points of the topic, of the condition. And then they can go on and read the whole article, which might be a bit drier. This is sort of a pet hate of mine in some respects, and that's that when people created digital resources, they couldn't help but recreate textbooks just on a screen. And so you look at most websites that do what we do, and they have some text and they have a static image. And we've tried to go away from that by having entire stacks that you can scroll, very much like what you do during your everyday life. But I think taking this multimedia approach is a really useful one to make it more engaging and more approachable for people, and to make it shareable, and to sort of have the older ones contributing in their area of expertise really narrow the focus towards the important parts of the topic. Plus, it's another awesome way of hearing all sorts of accents from all over the world.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want as many accents as possible. I thought maybe I'd do a few videos just with myself putting on a few different accents just to really mix it up a bit.
Yeah, I thought about adding the real accent now and then too.
Yeah. I did actually, Matt, I did, for this Cryto video that's on the screen now, yeah. I did actually record this one myself, a voiceover for it first, and then sent it privately to Jeremy, and he did the voiceover. So it was interesting kind of process, but basically, you can do anything these days. You don't always believe what you're hearing in a video. There's lots of little bits of editing and things go on. So yeah, if you're watching this video or this Google Hangout now, then you'll be watching it on the Radiology channel. So you can always click on and subscribe to the channel and have a look at all the other videos we've got.
And do you use screen capture software, Andrew? Is that what you're using for creating these?
Yeah, it's a. I'll probably make a video at some stage as to how I. Let me just turn off the screen share. I'll probably make a video at some stage showing how I do it, because I think I've learned a few things about that you can apply not just to making videos but also doing presentations at conferences and things, because I think there's little tricks you can use both in PowerPoint and in Keynote to try and get a bit of animation in there, and how to use radiology stacked images. I think a lot of people struggle and have to use individual separate images, and so I've tackled a little bit of that and worked out hopefully I've worked out one of a more efficient way to present those kind of stacks. But yeah, the way I do it at the moment is I create a presentation in Keynote, or Frank creates a presentation, or Jeremy, someone, anywhere. They put it into my Dropbox. I edit it a little bit, and then export that within Keynote as a movie. It's got a really great export function, and then take that across to iMovie. Get the audio, that hopefully Frank or whoever's contributed has also sent me an audio stream, and then I just edit that together, splice it so that it looks nice. Do some different cropping and things that you can do in iMovie that it's a bit hard to do in Keynote. And then the extra little thing is the laser pointer annotations, which I think really help guide the eye, and it doesn't make it feel so much like a standard PowerPoint presentation. It kind of lets the person feel like there's somebody there interacting with them. So I do that on an iPad. So basically I just export some of the slides from Keynote, put them into an app on the iPad called Explain Everything, and then do those annotations, send that as a separate video file, put that in iMovie, and then splice the two together. So you just fade one image into the next, and it kind of works quite well. Yeah.
I use some screen capture software, Microsoft Expressions, to record my video. I do have a little bit different process, but yeah, there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat, as it were.
I think what I kind of decided is that it's very hard to produce the video and the audio in one take. And so I think separating it off into, you produce the video component, you produce the audio component, and then you mix the two together seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, it's much more professional that way.
Yeah, I think if you're a brilliant presenter and can make a really good presentation and get it right the first time, then that's great. But I think for if I get an audio stream from Frank, there's plenty of little mistakes in there, but we can. The funniest one when I was listening to you today, Frank, is you kept saying stop, full stop at the end of your sentences, like you were dictating.
Yeah, it's a hard habit.
So I have to go in and edit out each of those full stops. It's a joy. It's a joy.
Yeah,
that's
I know
what they're there for.
When I do my screen captures, since it is a screen capture, I'll go back through and edit out all of my little fumbles as well. I do mine in Adobe Premiere, and that allows you to easily crop and edit the video too. Maybe I think the way you do it works well for what we're doing with the Radiology channel, but I think that it might be kind of fun, just and maybe easier for people to do things on the fly for like little ideas here and there that would be less regimented.
Yeah.
To maybe do more of like a on the fly lecture, but that would be.
The other thing is that certainly I can always take video and stick the Radiopaedia watermark, the Radiology channel watermark at the start, and add the little bit in at the end. But we try and keep it nice and uniform for the moment, anyway. But yeah, as long as as long as people are producing a quality video, then I don't care how they're making it. If they're if it's up to the standard that we want on Radiology channel, then I'll accept it and get it out there.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe for like Radiology signs. I don't know if you ever thought about doing a separate channel for that, and then a little less formal?
Yeah, probably. I try and do some radiology science. I'm trying to get them all to feed into each other. I don't want to try and isolate them off too much. So yeah, I think it's very complementary. A lot of probably half of the views we get on the radiology channel at the moment are driven through the Tumblr page, and the other half are through our Facebook and Twitter pages. So if we didn't have that Tumblr, then the videos wouldn't be anywhere near as successful as they are. So, and I guess ultimately once we incorporate it into the Radiopaedia site itself, that's when it's gonna really take off, because the number of eyeballs that are seeing it there, it's gonna help with our subscriptions and hopefully expose a lot of new people to Radiopaedia and education.
So are we gonna set a standard then for like in the future for incorporating these videos into every page?
I was talking to Frank a little bit about this recently as to how we can do it, because we've got, if you want to stick a little video into a page on Radiopaedia, you don't want to have anything within that video that refers to other videos that are not necessarily related to that article in Radiopaedia. Like we're working at the moment on a stroke series, and if someone's reading the basal ganglia hemorrhage page, then they basically want the presentation to just be about that. They don't really want to be hit with all this other content from our stroke series. So we've got to think of clever ways of using the YouTube API to adapt a player for our site that can trim the start of the video, trim the end, to make it the most effective we can for the site.
Excellent. I'm going to have to go, guys. So
we should wrap it up.
Quick outro, Dixon.
Okay. Any other thoughts about what else would you want to do in the Google Hangout type discussion?
No, I think I think it's going to be good to keep things casual, but also, I mean, we probably need to have a fairly set running sheet as to what we want to achieve in the discussion. We don't want to bore people with length. It's the same as making a video on YouTube. If you make a video for much longer than 5 minutes, then people aren't going to watch it.
So I think one of the things that I'd be keen on doing is each time a new feature or a new change to the website comes out, I think the ability to talk through it and show a screencast of that feature will be really useful, and I think that's probably the main thing to use it at the moment.
And while the resolution inside the Hangout is not great, what I can do is then splice in a high resolution screen capture of what we were talking about. So if, when we're talking about the quiz mode, I can just make a little video of a quiz mode and splice it in so that you've got our audio stream, but some new video that is more interactive and points out the features a lot better. But yeah, I think if we're going to do these kind of things, we need to probably only discuss one feature at a time.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we've got so many things that have happened in 2012 and so many things that are happening in 2013 that if we try and discuss it all at once, then it just becomes too long. So, I mean, we can do two things, and actually separate the videos ultimately for putting it out there into social media. But yeah, I think that's probably the way to go.
You're not seeing Google Hangout as another format of an educational type resource. It's a background discussion, news flash, commentary on what's going on.
I think down the track it'd be really interesting to have, an invited guest who might be a subspecialty, whatever, and talk about a particular issue. But realistically, I think that's, in 12 months' time or so, once it's really mature and we have an audience.
Yeah, and I think if they were doing that, it'd be good if they, if they used a PowerPoint or Keynote presentation, they screen share that. Also send me the file of that so that I can make a high-res version of it, and then so we've got the people down the bottom with the nice discussion, the live kind of discussion going on, but we've got some footage which is more slickly edited. So I think that'd be worthwhile doing. But I think if you get an expert on, and they've got something to discuss, then I think that'll be awesome.
One of my kids has just been sick, so on that salubrious note, I have to go.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Frank.
Cheers. Bye.
Broadcast end.